What's up, everybody? What's up? You got your man Sam here, DJ Sam. And look, check this out. Today, I have a special guest right here in the lab with Music and All That LLC. None other than one of the most profound and well-known, world-renowned, but it's a long list and we don't have that much showtime. Ladies and gentlemen, very good friend, mentor, Mr. Joe Wright Jr., the CEO of BLAPOP Records USA out of Midlothian. This is one of the hits right here that's playing, Our Generation. So we're gonna turn that down and let's see what's going on with Joe. What's up, bro? Talk to me, man.
You got it, man. Just happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Come on now.
I know Kanye just left, so I appreciate it, man.
He got jokes. Well, he was here, but he didn't know it. I just had him on the I had him on my phone. Yo, Kanye, you're a guest in the lab. Yeah. So let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. I got these. I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about these later on, but for right now, Joe Wright Jr. Is a little bit of everything, man. I mean, honestly, when it comes to entertainment and the industry, if it's been done, he's done it. So let's find out a little bit about Joe. Joe has a very great story on how he got into the business professionally, and I'm gonna let him tell you.
Absolutely. Well, of course, Sam, we grow up. I grew up in Cabrini Green. If anybody knows what that is, the buildings aren't there anymore.
Right.
But they used to doo-wop outside. Outside, everybody hung out. And the older guys would be doo-wopping. And so we would just be doing our thing, So it just caught me. It's like, what these guys, this is cool, right? And then come to find out, once I started realizing who people were, like Jerry Butler and Major Lance, and
these are like phenomenal for you younger people. These names that he's naming are phenomenal people in the music industry that were icons in Chicago. So go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Curtis Mayfield.
Yeah. Come on now.
And my aunt actually lived in the row houses near Chicago Avenue, and she lived next door to his family. So she knew him coming and going. But what that did is caught my ear. It was like, I like this, right? And so as time go on, you go to school, you try. My grandmother started me playing piano and singing at an early age because she was a choir director. And, and I think that played a part in why my ear was geared toward the doo-wop, right? And so
plant that seed.
That's it. And so as time went on, I went on to music college. And the first person I met, the music teacher, the first person I met was Carol Lims Dworkin. And she was an expert in African music. And so she was teaching us about the whole African music thing, a timpani, call and response, so on and so forth. And it was like, just again, I'm soaking this in, right? Plus, I was already playing percussion.
Right.
Latin and African percussion.
Right, he's an amazing drummer and percussionist. He is, as his sons are too. His sons are amazing musicians too. So go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. So now here it is. I'm piecing it together, right? The ability to understand African and Latin music, but then now this is the roots of African music, right? So moved on, went to Milliken, toured with the Jazz Lab Band all over the world, and we would record a record every time we got back from a tour. And that really was the, what do you call that, an epiphany? Because the guys sitting in that glass room, I didn't know what they were doing. I didn't know what that was about, but I wanted to know.
Right.
And the great thing about it, when I got to Chicago, there was a studio by Paul Serrano's studio where Earth, Wind, and Fire recorded. And a friend of mine was managing the studio. So he let me come in, hang out, started, getting the buzz, so on and so forth. Anyway, I started once MIDI, M-I-D-I, with music in the keyboards and drum machines and things like that. Right.
Things got electrified.
Yep. So I started composing and using drum machines and MIDI with my songs. And next thing you know, I'm demoing songs, and I meet people that need songs. Mm-hmm. And one of the persons I met was Sonny Sanders. Sonny Sanders was one of the writers of Soulful Strut, which is a song that's been done by everybody across.
That's another classic that he brings up. This is how long he's been doing this, you all. Yeah.
And through Sonny said, "Hey man, you know who Eugene Record is?" And I said, "Don't he sing with Shadow?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, he's looking for some songs." I said, "What? He's first class songwriter. Why is he looking for songs?"
He pretty much wrote all that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So he said, "Yeah, he's looking for songs." He said he left the group. He's doing a Christian album.
Yeah.
So I gave him a demo. Next thing I know, I get a call from Eugene. "Hey man, how you doing? I like this stuff, man. Come on over here and let's talk." So he lived in South Shore, right?
That's down the road though. After the Shy Lights, when Eugene did that, when you wanted to, yeah. Because I remember that project, that specific project, and you working on that with him.
Yeah,
I distinctly remember that. But hold on a second, Joe. Let's go back for a minute, because this is where I was trying to get him to go, y'all, and he went into the whole Joe history. Joe had a situation in his life when he was younger that really gave him the direction of music, and that's the story of how you had to make a choice, or you were going down the wrong path.
You got it. I was looking at 10 years.
Remember, he said he grew up in Cabrini Green, so you know that the path could have been wrong from the beginning. Anyway, so go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
For something I didn't do. But I dropped
out. Most of the time it is.
Yeah, I dropped out of high school my junior year and got picked up by the police hanging out on the corner. And so at that point, it was like, whoa, I had just started I just started being with a group out in Evanston. And it was like, wait a minute. I don't want my life to end up like this. Mm-hmm. So I just said, if I get out of here, pray. If I get out of here, that's it. I got out. I didn't even hang around nobody I hung around. It was like I didn't exist. I was incognito.
Change your surroundings. It'll change your life. This lesson is for the youth and for a couple of you older people out there that, hey, I've had to change my surroundings to change my life before. So know this. It's not something I'm saying. It's something I've done. So go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so that was it. And once I made that transition from hanging out and all that, being a garage band musician, to playing with these guys in Evanston who were really serious musicians. They were about practicing. They were about studying your craft, all of that. And it was like, okay, wow, bam. Yeah, so that's what I needed. And along with that, while navigating those things, that came and went, of course. Mm-hmm. But it was after I got back from Milliken where the opportunities came that I didn't even realize. A person introduced me to the executive producer of Hallmark that does the
Christmas card people?
The Christmas card people.
Okay.
They do all other cards.
Okay, yeah.
They do.
But I mean, they're known for cards.
Yeah.
Hallmark is the card.
Every year they did a record, album.
Okay.
Vanessa Williams did one. And you go down the list of all the people that did a Hallmark album, right? Well, he came to me and said, "Hey, I'm doing this Halloween thing, right?" He goes, let me know what you can do. So I'm thinking, huh? But the reason why that I didn't get spooked, no pun intended.
I like that.
I had just did. Matter of fact, he was the one who introduced me. No, he wasn't. I was teaching aerobics at the East Bank Club.
Okay.
Which is, I
told you he's done a lot.
It's not the
you never know where you see a Joe. You never know or never expect a Joe Wright sighting in some of the places. So we're talking music, and he's talking. He was an aerobics instructor too.
Yeah, and the teacher said to me, "Hey, I'm going to be doing a," and everybody knew that I did music. Plus, they liked the way I mixed my music for the aerobic class.
Right.
And so she said, "Hey, I'm doing a video," and that was kind of the new thing now, aerobic videos.
Right.
And you think you want to put some music on it? And I was like, how do I do that, right? Well, lo and behold, I did a demo of just some instrumental music in that kind of timing, beats per minute.
Yeah.
Minutes, like if you're doing something fast,
185 beats a minute.
That's frantic. That's frantic aerobics.
Yeah, sometimes those aerobics seem like they were going like that too. Like, man, look at this pace here. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, like the 125, 130 beats a minute. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so she passed it on to Esquire magazine, who hired her to do it. And they said, "Cool, we like it. Let's go. Let's use him to do the music." So here I am. I'm doing the music for a major market corporate client.
Right.
And it worked.
Yeah.
So, nothing is done with, I had a little 4-track cassette at that time. But we went into the studio and did it, because I played the drums. And then after I played the drums, I put percussion on it, stuff like that. So that
track by track.
There's a track by track. So there's an engineer that can help. I wasn't trying to do everything. Right?
Yeah.
So that was my first foray into a national client.
Yeah.
And from there it kept going, and I believe that helped me to understand, to think up here, rather than thinking down here, or just thinking local. Man, if I could be the man locally, I'm good.
But now let me say this though, and I have to say this to you all. Locally, I've known Joe probably for about 30 years. I met Joe after he was working on a project with a coworker of mine, Kevin Lewis Carr, and then I met Joe at the release party, and Joe and I hit it off because he liked the way that I was helping Kevin market his stuff and sell his stuff. And then, he was like, "Yo, who are you?" And when we found out we had a whole lot in common, which one of the things was the desire to succeed in music at any rate we could. And once I heard Joe's vision and what he was trying to do with music, it made it so much more. So I have to now acknowledge and thank him for being the greatest music mentor in the world, because a lot of what you all see that I do, whether it's a small promo for someone's business, whether it's even some of the pictures that I take to bring to life, things of that nature, it was Joe that told me, "Man, there's so much creativity in you that you got to get out and share with the people. God has blessed you with so much, and it's up to you to share that gift. It's not for you," pretty much is what Joe told me. And throughout the years, maybe 30 years now, Joe, he's been like the person that, and even when you look around here, occasionally there's something that I can't figure out, and I'll call Joe. I hit him up when he came in this morning. I was like, "Hey, Joe, what about this problem right here? Can we figure this out?" He's like, "This is what you do, Sam." So it's this relationship between Joe and I have worked. It's really worked, and it's worked to the point where Joe has helped me secure a lot of business and marketing and promotion for people who did projects and wanted to just get some exposure wanted to get on Spotify, wanted to get on other digital outlets, be able to have their music played on radio. Before internet radio, I was the person that Joe would say, here, okay, go do your thing. And I would walk up into the radio stations and say, you got to play this or whatever. Yeah. So he's been really instrumental in my career, and I love him for that. And I thank you 100%, bro, because I wouldn't be doing what I was doing if there wasn't somebody like you behind me pushing me all that time. I want to get into Joe's newest thing that he's got right now. I want to let you all hear a portion of it because this is from his new Joe's doing a multimedia project. He's doing a multimedia project with he's doing a multimedia project. Be Well. And Joe, give us a little bit more of what your multimedia project is about, man.
Absolutely, man. Be Well is it's going to be a film, and it's going to be about the epidemic of opioids that we're in a crisis with. And so, in the story, it's a father and a daughter. The father is an ex-athlete who is on prescription opioids, painkillers. The daughter thinks he's taking vitamins as he's composing. He's also a songwriter. So he's also he's published, and he has to write some hits because the publisher gave him an ultimatum. Well, during the course of 3 days, he's writing these songs. He's popping opioids left and right. He ends up having a overdose, and then the daughter realizes that that's what was happening. And so Be Well is the theme. And along comes a good friend of mine. I do audiobooks with, is Barbara Ann Martin. That's her vocal coach.
Okay.
Jaden Sue. And so Barbara would send me little clips of her doing her recitals and stuff. And so I said, hey, do you think Jaden would be interested in singing a song for the movie? So she said, I don't see why not. I said, okay. So,
and like you heard, this is a whole movie project that he's scoring. And this is like one of the major songs, Be Well, featuring this young kid, is one of the major songs on this movie project. Yeah,
she was 12. She's 13 now, but she did a great job on the song, man. And so, as I would listen to her voice in the tapes that that Barbara sent me, that's how I composed the song based on her voice, her vocal range, and just the fact that she was a kid, and this father is doing this to his daughter. He's a widow. He lost his wife to a train accident. And the daughter now realizes, well, maybe my mom couldn't deal with his addiction. And so, I'm putting music together first because I got a vision how it's going to work. And so music to me is really what helps make a movie. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, because even in chase scenes and things like that, exactly. The chase is so much more dramatic and gunfights are so much more, and anything that has to do with so much more because of the sound design behind it, which a lot of people don't know that's what that's called. That's called sound design. They take and then that's why when you hear music and it's got vocals and like we're listening to, it's called a soundtrack because that's the sound that's tracking the vibe of the music. So it's man, that sounds like a good project, Joe. Of the scene. Right. Yeah, and that sounds like a good project, Joe. Let me ask you this. So we've got, when are you expecting to hopefully have the music and the project completed totally as a whole package
a year,
No.
2 years, sooner?
Check this out. My wife Rhonda and I were involved with a missions group out in Nashville. And there's a young lady.
Oh, we've been out there before.
Yeah, that's right. You know,
yes, sir.
And there's a young lady who's in the mission group who's a filmmaker out of LA. And I said, I was talking to Rhonda, I said, you know, I need to talk to somebody in the business about what I'm doing because I don't want to just waste time. Well, we talked last Wednesday.
Awesome.
We Zoomed last Wednesday.
Awesome.
And man, that call gave me exactly what I needed. She said, don't worry about putting together a trailer because you're fundraising.
Right.
While you're fundraising, you don't want your funds used up.
Okay, stop right here. He's fundraising. Exactly what's going on with that? How's it going? And then what if there was somebody out there who decided that they want to help you raise funds or contribute to your fundraising efforts? What would they have to do?
Well, they could go to our website.
Okay.
Which is Captivating by Design Digital Organization or Digital Org.
Captivating by Design Digital Org.
Digitalartistry.org.
Okay.
Right. Sorry about that.
No problem. I'm going to make sure that I have that information on the release when we do this.
Yeah. And it'll walk them through how they can give through PayPal.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. So I appreciate that.
Definitely. Come on now. You know how we operate, man.
But I want to say this. She said instead of trying to make a trailer, make a fizzle reel. That's the first time I heard that.
Mm-hmm.
Fizzle reel, what's that? That sounds like some hip hop language, right?
Yeah.
She said no. Actually, a fizzle reel doesn't even have to be made with video. Huh? Her and her husband did a movie that got played on PBS. And she said the movie we did before that was just a little short, blah, 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 right? But before we even did that, you used graphics, text, different, and made that up as different scenes for what they needed. And that got people interested and involved. That's how they got their first short done. And then out of the short was able to really raise the money they needed to get the major.
Well, that's how most people want to. You want to whet their appetite so that they can see exactly what it is they're getting involved in. And if usually, like they used to do back in the days when they were curating music before they got music curators like they do now, was that 30 seconds would tell you if this was going to be a great song or not.
Right.
Remember how the Temptations, Barry Gordy and all of them used to sit in a room while everybody in the office sit in a room and then they play the song and say, you listen to 30 seconds of who likes it. Everybody raise their hand.
Right.
You know, they got consensus. So that's a good thing. So after I want to say this too. Joe has the innate ability to take. If you could go into his studio, you would be amazed at like some of the things you see around the walls of my studio. People who music we've worked with, things that projects that I've worked on, things like that. Most of them are projects that I worked on with Joe. And Joe has the ability to always, if there's a new artist that wants to, beyond the shadow of a doubt, they don't care. They just want to put together a project, get a CD out, and have something that sounds good. Well, Joe has the ability to take it and not only make it sound good, but make it marketable too. So there's a lot of music that you probably run across, probably see, have probably heard on some of my social media that was music that Joe was behind, including Greg Screen, who you saw in the last interview. Greg Screen's project, Africa First, and the Steppers Club originated in Greg's house, but was completed pretty much in Joe's studio, with Joe being co-producer on it. And then we finished up one of the tracks over at Capital Fun Studio with our friend Lonzo Taylor Jr. What's up, Peso? And so ladies and gentlemen, this is another brother in the Chicago area. I mean, there's a lot of people in and around Chicago that do music, but there's nobody that I've known that's been doing it as long and as successfully and still to this day, his only source of income in a business as Joe Wright. I mean, this is what he does. This is pretty much all that. Well, you've done some acting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, we already know he was an aerobics teacher. He's done acting, but he's a sound engineer and he's a writer and a producer. I mean, he actually taught me a lot of the ins and the outs of the behind the scenes paperwork necessities in order to
the
be
business.
yes.
So let's touch base on that.
Yes, that's where I was getting ready to go with it. That's where I was getting ready to go. The most important aspect that I wanted him to mention is how important the paperwork is in the business in order for you to get paid for what you do.
When the director of the East Bank Club, they had a room where they wanted to have people like gather to dance and stuff like that, the members.
Yeah.
And so she came to me and said, "Hey, can you put something together?" I said, "Okay, yeah." So I put a band together, and I was missing a keyboard player. Richie Davis, who's the originator of the Cats.
Yeah.
Chicago Cats.
Yeah. Kevin Smith.
Right.
And Richie there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I called Richie because Richie was on the gig. I said, I'm looking for a keyboard player, Rich. He said, call Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith, another artist that I've worked with because of Joe that I helped release and put his release together because of meeting him through Joe.
So I called Kevin. Kevin came, did the gig. It was cool. He was the man. But found out that he worked for Butch Morris Stewart of Joy Art, which was
That's
a jingle.
Uncle Butchie and the Live House from the Tom Joyner Morning Show and the McDonald's commercials with most of the black kids that you see in it.
You got it.
Those are his children.
Yeah, well, he was one of the in-house arrangers for Butch.
Butch. And Butch is a good guy too, man. We work with Butch. Butch is a good guy.
Rip.
Yeah.
Rip Butch.
Butch was a good guy. Yeah.
But through Kevin, I got involved with singing jingles.
Yeah.
And we would be working on jingles because Kevin started his own company called Prophecy. And we would be working on stuff together. And one day I said to him, "Hey man, I write songs, you write jingles. Why don't you, do some writing with me? Co-writing.
Yes, sir.
Or collaboration, that's it, yeah." So he said, "Cool," right? I gave him 3 songs to work on. And one of them was Pray You Should. And lo and behold, a good friend of mine who knew somebody who knew Pop Staples heard he was looking for songs. So I submitted the 3 songs Kevin and I worked on. Got a call back.
Pop Staples are the Staples singers he's talking about.
Got a call back. "Hey, this is Pops. I'm coming. Where you guys located?" So he came over and loved it. Next thing we know, he leaves with our 3 songs. Probably a year later, one of them shows up on his new album off of Virgin Records.
Mm-hmm.
But no paperwork. So that's a problem. You have, when you do a record with a record company, there's paperwork.
Yes, sir.
When you do a record with an independent, maybe there's an agreement, but it's not like that official. Because when a major label does something, they don't want you to come back suing them.
Right.
And so that's why they want every duck in a row.
Yeah. But what you're saying is you should be doing the same thing with an independent, or if you're working one-on-one with somebody,
whatever you're
make
doing,
sure your paperwork is straight.
Your paperwork is straight in order, and that everybody agrees on the splits.
Yes, sir.
The percentages, the amount of this, the amount of that, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. and what your title is in the project.
Exactly.
What did you do? And that's what's going to be recognized in the paperwork that you'll be compensated for.
You got it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I learned that from you.
I know a lot of people worry about sending their music off to the Copyright Office.
Yeah.
And you know, that's
old school.
That's good. That's old school.
That's old school.
Even though you can do it digitally now.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that's old school, yeah.
But I learned a lesson from James Mack. James, of course, did all the strings for Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
Prolific arranger. Man, I walked into the studio. Well, I didn't walk into the studio. He invited me because I was taking his class at Harold Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't taking it for credit, just taking it because everybody said
Mack.
You need to, you need to take James Mack class.
Yeah.
Well, he gave us a 4-bar assignment. I brought back a whole song with it. He said, "Man, come in my office." Oh wow, I'm in trouble. And I had a copyright form filled out in my back pocket. I'm thinking, well, if he likes the song, maybe, he'll sign off on it, right? So he said, "Yeah, man, I like what you did. That was cool, right?" And I said, "Yeah, well, maybe it can be a song." And I pulled out the copyright form. And he did just what you did. He laughed at me. But guess what? He said, "Look, I'm headed over to the studio. Come on." I walk in a 40-piece orchestra. Now, that's like being in heaven.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Joe? I mean, you actually exposed me to something like that when you took me to the studio to record what's the name? What song was that we were doing? It wasn't Totally Awesome Woman, but the song that had Orbit Davis and Steve Eisen.
That's Where Are the Fathers?
Where Are the Fathers? Steve Eisen and had
Richard Patterson.
Richard Patterson and Daryl Parker. I mean,
Kevin
it was some of the most amazing musicians that I was aware of from and around the Chicago area who were very well known. And Richie was with David Sanborn, and Daryl has been with Chick Corea, and these guys have done some things, he takes me into the studio and he tells me he wants me in the sound room. And when I go in there, what? And he gives me 1099s and says, "Okay, go give those guys 1099s, man. Make sure everybody signs off." And so, hey, this is a funny story. We got it because we got to shut this down. And so I go back. Once again, it's paperwork because each and every one of those guys was a professional. Each and every one of those guys was doing music professionally on projects. One with Orbit was with the Chicago Symphony, still is.
Yep.
And then Richard,
that's his group.
Yeah. Richard was actually on tour and came in, and then Kevin is with the Cats, and all these guys were doing. But the thing that was integral was making sure that I got them 1099s, got all of them signed. Everybody was like, "Okay, this is a work for hire."
That's what it was.
It was a work for hire, and this is what you're getting paid, and don't expect anything else afterwards. This is what you got. But the beauty of this was this, that he's talking about going, I sat in that sound room, and these guys went in there, and when they started this song, I looked up because I actually thought I was in heaven because the music was so beautiful. And they're playing off of charts because Kevin's charted all the music. They're playing off of charts. Kevin's charted all the music.
He's conducting.
Yeah, he's conducting. Actually, Kevin's actually with the wand conducting. So I'm sitting there, and I think his name was Larry, the sound engineer.
Oh, yeah, Larry Sherrill.
Me and Larry are sitting there in the sound room, and so they play this piece to perfection. Perfection. It was so beautiful. And so then when they get finished, I don't know about them, but me and Larry was in the sound room breathing hard. We're breathing hard. So he looks at me and he goes, "Man, what do you think?" I was like, I think we had blocked off 4 hours or something like that. We blocked off 4 hours to do this. And they've done it perfect the first time. And he looks at me and he said, "Well, I don't know, Sam. It doesn't look like we're going to need all that time." And I looked at him, I said, "Let's get him to do it one more time for prosperity." Because the first time was so perfect. But these are the type of people that Joe has introduced me to. This is the type of work that Joe has done from the first day that I met him, before he meeting me, he was doing this, and we've known each other for 30 years. So that just tells you how ingrained he is for you young people out there, that especially if you're in Christian jazz music, something of that nature, and you want to know more about it, more how to get it done or whatever, or if you're looking for just a little bit of guidance, this is somebody that you might want to follow on Facebook, things of that nature. This is somebody that can really be a guide for you. I mean, a lot of people, they hit me up about things, but know this, you hit me up about things and can ask me questions, I guarantee you, if I don't have the answer, I'm calling him, because usually if I don't know it, he knows it. And a lot of what I know is because he planted the seed for me to find out more about it and to become more versed in it, so that I could become a reliable music consultant, among other things. He's had me work as a sound engineer, and he's had me do background vocals, and he's had, like I said, he's had me pass out 1099s and make sure everybody gets paid. So I learned a lot from him. We're going to try to wrap this up. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say once again, man, I love you, bro.
Love you, man.
Definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, Joseph Wright Jr., BLAPOP Records, probably one of the premier record labels for what we call urban inspirational music.
Urban inspiration.
BLAPOP, Black, Latin, Asian Pop Music Ministry. And that's what it's all about, because if there's one thing that we definitely have in common is our love of the Lord. And so we just want to thank each and every one of you all for tuning in.
I just want to interject
Go ahead, bro.
This. To anybody that's trying to use their gift in this world, there's going to be opportunities that come towards you. Just be cognizant of the fact that you're valuable. God made you as somebody with value. You don't have to lower your expectations or your values to be appreciated or feel significant. Be yourself.
Hey, I can't add much to that. It's your gift. God gave it to you, but it's not for you. Know that. Your gift isn't for you. It's for you to share with everybody else. Because if he didn't share his gift with me, I wouldn't be sitting here right now giving you all the opportunity to learn more about him. So once again, we want to thank you all for tuning in to In the Lab. Hopefully next month on In the Lab, because you'll probably be able to check this interview out for the rest of the month. If you don't want to watch it all at one time, you go back and check it out or whatever. But this is the way that I like to do interviews. I know everybody is doing things via Skype and things like that. I still like to get one-on-one with people, bring them in, get to find out a little bit, put it up there and give you a chance to check it out at your own pace. So if you know someone that's interesting that you think might be a good person to appear on In the Lab, let's get them in the lab. Hopefully next month I'll have one of the hottest female vocalists in and around the Chicago area, and I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you all. God bless. Much success in Jesus' name. Peace.